Hello! So we're going to take a proper look at the Beaver in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is the Milviz Beaver originally, and then it became the Blackbird Simulations Beaver. So this was in development well over a year ago, and screenshots were appearing of it online, and then it mysteriously disappeared. So obviously Microsoft had done a deal with Milviz at the time to use it for the 40th anniversary update to Microsoft's Flight Simulator to effectively give it away. So we now have a study level short takeoff landing aircraft, or like a utility aircraft for the simulator, which is absolutely fantastic news. So we're going to go and have a fly in it and see how it goes. So we're at Booker Airfield, by the way, in Buckinghamshire, and we're just going to have a look around the airplane, see what all the switches are, and look how well modelled it is. It's actually remarkable, isn't it? So first of all, you'll notice there is a tablet. As you look closer to it, obviously the screen has changed, so it had the Blackbird Simulations logo on it. So Asobo haven't rebadged things, they've left the logos of the developers on things, which is quite cool. You can see you have the option between modern GPS or the original analog radios, which is great. We can have a passenger loadout or a cargo loadout, so if I turn on the cargo loadout and look behind us, you'll see there's nothing in the cockpit anymore, which is good. We can switch on and off the co-pilot. I've zeroed out their weight to make them disappear. And there's various tie-downs and covers that you can switch on. Okay, so how do we get the airplane started? You can see I have mapped some of my levers, so I'm going to put the mixture to rich. I'm going to put the propeller lever all the way forwards by hand. I'm going to get the yoke out of the way so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to turn the fuel master cutoff round to centre. We're going to put the magnetos
clear prop
to both before we start the engine. That shout, by the way, was FS Realistic running in the background. So before we start the engine, we'll go and turn the beacon light. Before we do that, we'll need some electric, otherwise the light won't come on. So we'll turn the beacon light on. We won't turn the radios on until we've started the engine. It tends to be a common practice that you don't do that because any surges could obviously damage your instruments. We're going to use the wobble pump to build up some pressure on the fuel, just 3 or 4 pumps of it, and then we're going to put the fuel boost on and then start the engine. And the engine is ticking over, so then the fuel pump can come off, and then we can turn the radios on, and we should see. That's cool, isn't it? You get the proper animations of the needles doing their initialization. It's very, very good. You can see the radio down here as well, going through its boot up sequence. So that's all modelled really nicely as well. Okay, so we have like a very old-fashioned needle here for the flaps. So let's try moving the flaps. That's very cool. It looks like a photograph, doesn't it, inside? And everything shakes. Very, very good. And obviously, the whole thing is shaking. So we'll sit up in our seat just to taxi out, and we'll come off the parking brake. And just before we start taxiing, actually, let's go and put the pitot heat on. Let's put the landing lights, the strobe lights, and the instrument lights are very cool, look. And the nav lights on, and I think that'll be just about it for our purposes for right now. Let's see what it sounds like outside. Sounds awesome, doesn't it? Okay, let's taxi out to runway 24 at Booker then. And we'll do a quick circuit just to see how the aeroplane behaves. I've got the weather set to not broken cloud. What's the next one down? Partly cloudy, I think it's called. So I'm not using live weather because the live weather around here at the moment is absolutely atrocious. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Am I seeing ice building up on the windshield, or is that just a pattern on the trees? I think it might just be a pattern in... No, it's... We'll find out in a moment. I think it's just a pattern in the trees. Okay. So full throttle, the tail has come up very quickly. It's very easy to keep it on the centre line. We haven't got any crosswind, of course, so that is going to be easy. So we rotate and up it comes. So come off the throttle. There does seem to be an enormous power band as you get towards 100% throttle. Okay, let's have a look out the window. It's gorgeous today, isn't it? So we're going to turn around to... Have we got a gyro compass as well? Yes, we do. So we're going to turn around to 60 degrees. I haven't calibrated the altimeter, I completely forgot about that. So we're just watching the compass here until we get to 60 degrees. Come off the throttle a little bit, we're not in a hurry. It looks stunning, doesn't it? Let's have a look at it outside while we're flying along. I'll just trim out the elevator a little so we don't have to keep exerting back pressure. Just watching the vertical speed down at the bottom of the screen. There we go. Okay, so this is the Beaver. Still have the landing lights on, we're not going to worry too much. It's very good, isn't it? Strange that it doesn't render the pilot. I think that's one of the things that you could click on the tablet though, was whether it rendered them. Seeing as I tend to fly always inside anyway, it's not going to make much difference. Okay, shall we find out what it stalls like? So we'll climb. We go full power. And it's holding 90 knots and quite a steep climb, look, at full power. So you can literally climb at about 1,700 feet a minute. Maybe more than that, 2,000 feet a minute. Obviously I've got an empty aircraft. But it's still, you know, amazing what its climb rate is like. Okay, so now we've got some altitude. Feeding in backstick, we're losing the speed straight away, look. And it dropped a wing. I had to be careful about pulling the nose back up. It wanted to tumble a second time. Okay, so let's just sit across. Can we still see the airfield? The view out of the cockpit isn't wonderful to the side, it has to be said. In the real world, I suspect the pilots would be craning around all the time to see what's going on. So there's the airfield over there. We're still going a bit slow. It's great that it shakes, isn't it? So let's go and do a touch and go and see how it handles on approach. I've been waiting for this plane for so long because I knew it was coming, and it's my sort of aeroplane. I really enjoy flying planes like this. Okay, so we're going to extend the flaps and go for a landing on the flaps. If we press F, that's the default pilot eye position. If we press space, we can still see the airspeed indicator when we're looking down over the nose, which is really handy. Okay. Now, am I I imagining things, or is that a truck driving up the side of the airfield? So we're just going to gently come in and find out what this behaves like when we stall it onto the runway. So I'm going to come off the throttle, and we're keeping an eye on the airspeed. So it's holding on to 80 knots at the moment. We're not at full flaps. We're at the landing, kind of the recommended flap level for landing. So as we rotate out, or flare the aircraft out I should say, yeah, so that it's quite heavy. It wanted to keep going towards the floor, didn't it? So let's get flaps back to takeoff position. The flaps move quite quickly, which is really useful. It's going to take a while to get used to it. As we rotated around, it really didn't want to stop descending. It slid down towards the runway. So it's going to go straight back along the reciprocal. Okay. There's the runway. I'm going to do a very foreshortened approach, Spitfire style approach this time. Now we know how it behaves. We can kind of predict what's going to happen. Its slow approach behaviour is brilliant. Now, will it try and drop a wing right above the runway? That left a bit to be desired, didn't it? But
yeah, we definitely touched down.
But yeah, I think the only thing that sticks out to me is how heavy it feels at slow speed. And yeah, it did lose lift, and it seems very realistic, much more so than many of the other aeroplanes that we've seen in the simulator so far. So let's go and taxi back. It's simulating noise on the grass as well, which is quite cool. Yeah, you can hear it, look. Very, very good. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to do flights with. Notice it has no autopilot. I don't know if that's important to you, but it's not really important to me. It's not what this plane's all about. I know some people go and hack the config files of the aeroplanes and put their own autopilot in. I don't really agree with that. Okay, we can turn the tablet off. I wonder if there's a way of hiding the tablet. I wonder if they've hidden a switch somewhere. Notice all of the breakers work. Again, this was developed by a payware developer. It's a much higher standard than you typically see from a SOBO. So it's less forgiving for the same reasons. You saw from the couple of landings I did, obviously that's my first go at ever landing it, but it's going to take a little bit of practice. Should go and park on the far side. It turns very easily. There we go. Wheel brakes on. all we should need to do is cut the mixture and cut the propeller, and radios can come back off, all the lights can come back off now, and magneto's off. Oops. Learning where the click spots are is going to be another problem, I guess, to begin with. Turn the electric back off and we're good to go again. Obviously we can now go and open that door and go for a wander. So you can see that from the outside, what that open door looks like. So yeah, that's the Beaver, and it's a study level aeroplane. There's no getting around it, and the flight model seems to be very, very good. So it is going to take a little bit of practice to nail those landings. So you saw I came in a little bit heavy both times, but we'll get there. And hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the air soon. Okay, take care.